You have a YouTube channel. You put yourself on camera. You're fine.
I I do, but I get to edit those. Like, the raw me is not,
Well, that's
it's not great.
everybody. That's not
Yeah.
this is all fake. I don't for anyone
Very
watching at
true.
home. This is fake. This is not me. This is a
Yeah.
version of me that you see that I present on camera because I want to be respectable and professional.
Yeah.
This is not the Robbie that you might see if I was at a party and had 3 drinks in me. I might be different. Or in the
Oh,
morning
yeah.
when I'm grumpy, et cetera, et cetera. This is a great way to
Yeah.
talk. Cursed images, channel surfing. Here, let's get on topic. It comes out in, I think, 3-ish weeks, maybe 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. It's coming out. This is your chance to pre-order it right now.
Mhm.
If you're listening to this or watching, for that matter, this is your opportunity. Go get your pre-orders, and they matter a lot to us indie authors. They're very meaningful. That's my first. That's the first pitch you're going to hear. I do it every show, so people should get used to this. Me selling people's books. But Cassidy, before I jump into questions about the book, can you give our listeners at home a little elevator pitch for the collection?
Sure. If you like nostalgic horror with sick little twists, I recommend a lot of my work, but in this collection in particular, I focus in on the 90s, and I'm very much inspired by not only toys and tech from the time, but also TV shows, hence the giant television screen and the VHS tape on the front cover. So each short story is inspired by a different TV show, and I try to work that way in there in somewhat of a parody-like style. So if you're here for some fun goofiness and also some scary, scary stuff, that's Curse Images channel surfing.
Bob Nugget, poor
Yeah.
Bob Nugget. I felt bad for Bob.
Really.
Yeah,
That's one of the fun stories in there too. That was
it's
a
I
little off
might
the
be
wall
my
but fun to
it
write.
might be my favorite. I don't
Oh,
know.
really?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't sat with it long enough to really settle on a favorite, but I really did like. I think I just have a lot of I have a lot of affection for Bob Saget, rest in peace,
Yeah.
and his weird career where he was like a very filthy comedian and then was this icon of family friendly entertainment and then
Yeah.
went back to being filthy again. So I do appreciate that. It's a very strange thing, which you even touch upon in your story. We're going to avoid spoilers for the most part. The book's not even out yet. People should go pre-order it and read it when it comes out. My first question is kind of broad, but we're going to narrow down into smaller things. You mentioned that every story is centered around a different TV show. Um, did you when you were like assembling his collection, did you write towards that where you're like, well, I know that this is going to be the theme of this collection, I'm going to find these things and find ways into them? Or did you have some of these stories already and then kind of assembled the collection around them and added stuff in?
It's more of the previous option where I knew I wanted to do like a decade. I do decade specific books, so I've done the early 2000s, I've done 2010s, and so I wanted to do a 90s one. And for me, 90s is like the golden era of television. I grew up on a lot of cartoons from that time, so I knew I kind of wanted to invoke something of that. So I kind of tried to really figure out what TV shows stuck out to me personally where I could put an unexpected twist on them. I mean, you have Buffy, but Buffy's already kind of like horror adjacent, so it's not a whole lot to do with that. So I try to pick things that seemed like family friendly or, completely outside the horror genre first and then try to put a twist on them. And a lot of what I do is like Frankenstein building. So like a TV show came first, mixed with a product. How do I make these two integrate? And then that's where that fun part comes in, where you get to be creative and find links in your brain that aren't like necessarily obvious to the reader.
Do you find that does that like I don't know, I've tried to do that in the past, not about 90s television, but about like I was like, oh, I'm going to write a collection about this theme, about a thing, about this big idea, and then find different ways into it. And then as I was working on it, it can just fizzle out on me. Like I just lost my heart. I'm like, I don't want to do this 12 times or whatever many stories you have. Um, or anyone would have in their collection theoretically. I think you have 10. Is there 10 stories in this? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and also we will get to the framing device also about because I have some questions I can't ask because they will spoil things, but I do want
Oh,
the we're going to talk about the X Files a little bit. Um, but did you, as you like, you found excitement and the joy, you found joy in like finding those things and Frankensteining that stuff together?
yeah, I'm a puzzle person, so a
Okay.
lot of what I do, yeah, a lot of what I do is that I like problem solving. I like puzzles, so for me, it's a way to challenge myself. I should say with my first nostalgic horror collection, it didn't come about that way. It came about naturally, kind of like you said before, where I noticed I was writing a lot about toys from the early 2000s and kind of processing like some childhood stuff. I was in therapy, so uh, yeah, that was the kind of the headspace. And so I started writing about these toys, and then I realized, oh, there's a common theme of childhood nostalgia, uh, a little bit of sadness to it, and let me just mush this together. And after that happened, and I published that, and people seemed really interested in it. I was like, okay, well, let me do this for other aspects. So I did 2010s because that's when I was a teenager slash young adult and a little bit angstier. And then, I was born in 95, so I've kind of,
You young people. It's
uh,
deplorable.
I don't feel that young these days, but thank
I
you.
know. I understand. Now we're getting to, oh, I was born in 2007 and I'm an adult. I'm like, "Oh my
Oh
lord.
yeah.
I put me in my grave."
Oh yeah, no, I've already like passed the stage of like what's potentially cool for like a young person. I try to keep up with the lingo, like my nephews keep me somewhat young. But no, I when I have to start researching what's popular, that's when I know that I'm like, okay, I gotta hang up
Right.
movies. Like,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, so I did in the 90s because I think a lot of my reader demographic tends to be millennials too. And I'm like, okay, let me do what I vaguely remember. My husband's also older than me, so that helped quite a bit, although he has a different cultural experience because he grew up in a different country. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And I had a lot of fun with this one, like I said, because it felt like I was solving puzzles the whole time. But I know that could be a different experience. Like some people are more organic writers that really need to come from like a centralized place. And that's a lot of fun too. And I think a lot of emotionally impactful work happens when you create that way. But for me, this was a big exercise and practice in accountability and structure and try to get creative within the confines of structure and not as much as topic, even though I feel like the topics of each story are still important, if that makes sense.
No, I mean they do revolve around, I don't know. I feel like it's also the 90s are back.
Yeah,
90s are everything I remember from my childhood, 90s into early 2000s is popular now. We're wearing Jinkos again. I don't know what happened, but we're doing that.
yeah,
It's like all just coming back around, and I'm like, that's when you're like, I'm getting old. Is like you just see the things from your childhood. You're like, oh, they're popular again. And you're like, oh, this is now. I know why my parents were so like cynical about all this. They're like they had seen it come around 3 times too. Um,
yeah.
I do want to retract my statement. I think 13 almost 30. 13 almost 30 is actually my favorite story.
Oh,
I
really?
think
Yeah.
yes. I think I was looking at the table of contents. I'm like, nope, it was that one. I really, really, really liked that a lot. That's a thing that seems like that's a movie. That's a thing
It
that could
is.
be a movie. That's
Oh,
like,
thank you.
well, I mean, it's very. I think that stuff is like also like again, it's hot right now. All that weird, like all the and the fact that I don't know. It feels like there is a lot of horror films now are driven by like you have one cursed object and a group of friends and everything spins out of control and like oh well
Yes.
you have the phone and then that's for those at home that is it's a story about I don't know if it's you don't make it clear if it's actually cursed. All we know is that something is going on with the I forget the what's the actual name of those board games.
It's called Dream Phone board game.
Dream
Like
phone, right?
it's very basic, and I think why I was drawn to it is the fact that it's so basic and obviously geared towards girls because the whole point of the game is like clue but figure out which boy likes you, which is so derivative. Like I'm like, come on, guys. So it's me kind of poking fun at that, but taking out the dating aspect and more so like when I was writing that one, I kept thinking about like, there's people that are like, oh, I wish I could go back in time and relive this, right? But I kept thinking, would you do that at the detriment of yourself? Um, and that's kind of like the idea behind the whole story is like, what price would you pay to be able to relive the good old days? And I was inspired by Sex in the City. I don't know if that was apparent. I tried to do a lot of clues to be like, this is definitely Sex in the City vibes. Mostly because there's a lot of characters in that show that I felt like got robbed of their happy ending. And so I also kind of like was a little bit spiteful in that when
Okay,
I was
okay.
writing the story too. Yeah.
I I have probably not surprising news for you that I have never watched Sex in the City other than like clips,
Yeah.
and I've captured stuff from osmosis, mostly from people who hate
Okay.
the show. Uh, well, people
Yeah.
who are fans of the show who hate it. Really, that's really
Yeah.
what it is. It's not
Yeah.
people who are just like, oh, it's dumb. It's no, it's I watched it and I hate Miranda, or whatever. They hate a
Yeah.
specific character for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um, but I really liked it surprised me a lot. I think I'm also a big I love board games, so I'm always
Yeah.
like any board game story you want to sell me. I'm like that's a board game comes alive. Board game is a curse. The board game, yeah, I'll take it. Give it to
Yeah.
me. So I'll eat it up. I love it. Um, let's see. Let's okay. So I think there is an element we're gonna dig into the framing device at a certain point, but I think part of that and I think it's connected in that we are like also watching these as tapes. Like
Yeah.
that's the implication in the framing device is that these are all these stories are videotapes and we're watching them. And there's I think and that's like an overarching theme of everything. But there's also inside of multiple stories there's themes of voyeurism about
Mhm.
especially the America's Funniest Home Video Bob Nugget like again we're watching videos of people hurting themselves and laughing like idiots and I remember distinctly watching America's Funniest Home Video as a kid and laughing like an idiot at a guy getting hit in the crotch with a football or whatever. Um, and that element of voyeurism, it implicates us also as consumers, readers. I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, and you start to feel I don't know. I feel a little gross. I'm like, oh, I'm like, because I'm like, well, I could just stop. I could just stop reading. It's just like any television show you don't want to watch, you turn it off. Um, are you trying to do that? Are you trying to implicate readers and make them feel that, like add that kind of layer of ickiness, of guilt, of participating in this act of voyeurism?
I mean, I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
I I do cast moral judgment, unfortunately, in my work a lot.
Eh,
And I
it
and
happens.
but it's one of those things where it's a universal experience. Like there's literally a word for, hence the title of the story, um, for getting joy from other people's misfortune or pain. Like it, and in a way, even now, I think about how voyeuristic of a society we live in, where we're constantly being monitored in some sort of way. And so I wanted to express frustrations with that, and one, show that it's not a new phenomenon, but also, yeah, I want the reader to feel like they're actively participating in the story as they read it. And I'm just a geek about found footage, so I tried my darndest to try to convey that in written format, which I feel like is difficult to do. um
I mean, there's a
but yeah,
lot of it lately. I've
yeah.
had multiple people on. I think I've had I mean, last week
Mhm.
was V.S. Lawrence and a trad wife on YouTube story, and there's
Yeah.
multiple chapters that are watching a YouTube video, and then I had AC Hasnauer, her newest book is found footage. I had Michael Wehunt, he just won a Stoker for a found footage book,
Yeah.
like. It's hot right now. There's lots of people. I think it's again, but I think when you write something about it in the 90s, you're like, well, this has existed for a very long time. We have this fascination with like archival, of like collecting, of seeing other people, of like seeing things we're not supposed to see.
Mhm.
And this was, I don't know, 90s is where basically reality shows were kind of born, really. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I think what Real World came out. Was that 90s? Was that late 80s? That's a
I
that's
think
technically the first, but also like
yes.
Cops. All those shows blew up in the
Yeah.
90s, and I know that.
Oh yeah. Well, and not just that, but like even you things you're not supposed to see, right? Like conspiracy theory-esque TV shows like X-Files. Like that was a big
Yeah.
inspiration. It's like kind of what you said, your government keeping a secret from you type. thing. I think that really exploded in the 90s too.
Unsolved
So yeah,
Mysteries, Fact or
yeah.
Fiction, Ripley's Believe It or Not. I have
Hmm.
all those the alien autopsy special that they had on Fox News, which was so silly when you actually watch it, especially now. If anyone goes back and okay, for all the children out there who are listening to this, all the very young people in the '90s, Fox presented a show as if we were going to watch an actual alien autopsy. And then you watch it and you're like, this is the most silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is a circus act. I can't believe I thought this was real. Um, but that's where we're. Yeah, I know it's hard. Go watch it on YouTube. It's on YouTube. You should go watch it. It's crazy. It's very, very obviously not an alien. You're like, um. So okay, so let's talk about X Files a little bit. Framing device. Not really about X Files. This is not. We're not going to talk. I mean, X Files is great. People should go watch X Files if they haven't watched X
Yeah.
Files, at least until when David Duchovny leaves, and then
Yes.
don't bother. Largely, it's okay. You could stop. That's my. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's
No. No,
everyone's
it's
like,
not.
stop watching after David Duchovny leaves. It's not good anymore. Um, but it's like they become Fowley and Crimmins.
Yeah.
Fowley.
Folly. Yeah.
Okay. Either way, I mean it's Mulder and Scully, but it is Fowley and Crimmins, or at least a version of them. It's like this
Hmm.
weird. Again, it's that you feel like we're stepping into an alternate reality. The whole book has kind of a Mandela effect thing going on,
Yes.
where we're feeling. I feel like I'm in a version of reality that I didn't experience, which is great. I really enjoyed it. Um, so and they're watching the tapes as we are watching the tapes, and but we're also watching them, which is all this. You're setting up like these layers of kind of meta narrative. um and they even come to the very, like, near the end of their little meta narrative, they're trying to find meaning. They're trying to connect the dots of things. Are you trying to emulate a reader's experience with them? Are we supposed to connect to those agents as us effectively?
I mean, if you want to, yes.
Okay.
I tend to inadvertently make my work meta. I actually had a reader that said the same thing about a different collection, and I enjoy that because it's like, well, okay, I'm not, as a writer, I can't hold your hand through things. I feel like that does the reader disservice. The reader is
Yeah.
intelligent enough to figure things out for their own sake, of course. But I find pleasure in knowing that the character also doesn't know what the hell's going on, right? Like
Right.
if you were to be put in this universe, then yeah, you're not gonna know what happens either. So it's just as natural for them to discover the same things that the reader discovers based on context clues and information. For me that feels natural. And I think that also gives the attitude of found footage, right? We are experiencing the world through the lens of whoever is filming. And whatever happens to them is essentially contained in that tape, and there's nothing we can really do about it. But that for me, that's enjoyable of experience, like reading or viewing something like that. So yes, if you want to project onto them, you can. If you want to be like, wow, these guys are just kind of silly, you can do that too.
Okay.
It's completely up to the reader. Maybe
Okay.
I emotionally, I think that was intentional. Intellectually, analytically, probably not. Um,
Okay. I mean, you go, yes, it was. I'm very smart.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I
of
I
course.
did all that. And you mentioned, obviously there's clearly X Files there, but there's there
Yeah.
twin. It felt Twin Peaksy as well, very Lynchian.
Oh my
Like,
God, thank you. Yes.
okay, good. I mean, I like it feels like it's there, but I didn't want to project. Um, but it feels very much them. Like, I don't know. I think it really hammered like with the coffee stuff that happens on it. I'm like, that feels, because David Lynch loves characters obsessed with coffee,
Oh yeah.
because
Well,
I think he was obsessed with coffee, so that's why. But it's like,
yeah.
but coffee house is like, it's like, there's all these layers of symbolism there.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think that also layers into the trying to find meaning, because there's in, most Lynchian stuff, it's, hey, here's a bunch of stuff, here's a bunch of symbols and metaphors and archetypes, and we're going to try and ascribe meaning to them, sometimes even when there isn't any meaning.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks. I love that show. I actually even have my cousin made me a jewelry box, and it has a decoupage of Twin Peaks characters on the top. So I'm happy you picked it up. Um, it's funny because David Lynch also kind of just played with surrealism, and that's something I aspire to do. Is to work in this realm of you're not really sure what's going on. It's like you kind of just slip through the cracks, and now you're here. Very Twilight Zone esque, or Backrooms esque too. I know Backrooms is popular now, and that's been inspiration for me, even when I used to watch the YouTube videos by myself. This idea that you're just kind of like like you said, a voyeur, like you're just here, you don't know how you got here, and now you're trying to make sense of things. And I just love surrealism and absurdism and the idea of trying to make sense of something that ultimately doesn't make sense. And I feel like that's so relatable nowadays, given the current state of the world we're living in, where
Yeah.
a lot
Where
of
every day we
things,
see things that are like, why is that happening? And you're like, is it AI? Is it real? And you're like, oh, it's yeah, no, it's not AI. It really happened, but it also still
yeah,
doesn't make any sense. It's just not, it's like we live, it's like everything's data. It's just all just people like, and it's not art. It's just people like inexplicably doing insane things. But it's not
oh
the
yeah,
layers, but the layer of social media. I think that's also
yeah,
why you look at even media from the 90s and you see I can see those echoes building up to today when you look at
oh yeah,
America's Funniest Home Videos, and now I scroll at Instagram and there's a video of some guy getting rammed by a goat, and
yeah,
everyone's like ha 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 ha, ha. And you're like, this is what we're is where's Bob Saget, where
yeah.
he's just yeah. I also love Clippy. Clippy is
Oh,
incredible. I have a I do writing workshops, and I have a character, Quilly, that I use.
oh, okay. Hmm.
Very he's not as menacing as your Clippy, but he is still a little dark. This is a more of a crafty question.
Hmm.
Because I think I ask it of everybody who does it, but there's this has collect and I think your two detectives pointed out there's a lot of kids, a
Yeah,
lot of children in these stories, a lot of kids of varying ages, like teenage kids to young. Just like some of the kids are so you don't get we don't get a specific age, so you're just like
yeah.
that kid. The I forget the boys the kid who loves the lollipops. I forget his
Oh,
name, but
Tommy, yeah.
I don't know how old. I don't know if that's is that a Rugrats also? Is that a
Yes,
Rugrats reference?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. But I don't know how old he is. I assume he's like 4 or something. He
yeah,
seems very young, 4, 5, 3,
yeah,
whatever. Enough to talk and run around, so he can't be too young. Um,
yeah.
how do you approach writing a child? Like that like it's a thing I don't do very often because
Mhm.
I don't think I'm very good at it sometimes. But it's and because they're kids of different age, is that oh, it's
Right.
well, this kid is 6, so I'm gonna think about a 6-year old. Is this kid's 16, so I'm gonna write a teenager. They're so different from each other. Is there is there do you have a universal approach when you're writing a child, or is it just like I go, well, some of these kids are precocious, so they're smarter than their age.
Yeah, well, honestly, I feel like I have the impulse to do this again because yeah, a lot of what comes out of me comes from childhood wounds. And for me, I feel like how do I address something scary? What did I experience as something scary? And it all revolves around being that age and having those experiences. I do think that I give children a lot more credit than other people do because children have these internalized worlds that everything makes sense to them and they're thinking logically, right? Even if we don't view their logic as sane, especially teenagers, they still operate within their own internal world. So I think a lot of people kind of either dumb down children or they give them the scary baby trope where it's just like, uh, what book was it, Baby Teeth I read, where they just kind of made the child like a maniac. Um, and
I have met children who are
you're a maniac. Yeah,
just maniacs, so it's not like crazy to me, but there's
yeah,
a line of what has to be, you can't I don't know, it's the same thing of where you're like writing a villain and people go, this villain's not believable. I'm like, I look out my door every day. There's villains who are doing way worse things that are they
true,
are real, but we're writing
true,
fiction. We're not just writing, you can't just be writing, journalism. There's a difference. It has to be interesting and
right,
compelling. Sorry.
right.
Finish your answer.
No, you're. you're fine. As with Tommy in particular, I actually started off writing, and then I got feedback from my first beta reader that he felt a little too mature, so I had to actually dial it back. So I feel like that might be a little bit easier in creating a complex world for a child, is just writing what happens and what you want them to experience and work out, and then maybe take out some more adult elements or put some more child references or desires behind that, and it might be a little bit better for folks. Because again, like nothing comes out perfectly the first time, especially with like characterizations. So you could always add more influence of childhood whimsy after the fact, as long as you get what you want out there first.
That might be the problem. I'm not a
Mm.
very whimsical person,
Oh,
and it's hard for me to just of all the things that I could add to a book, whimsy is it. I don't know. I probably do fine. It just feels like fake to me because largely I feel
mm,
like whimsy is not come natural to me. When I see people who are
mm,
like naturally whimsy, my first impulse, which is not a correct one, I'm just saying it is my first impulse to say, why are they faking that? Why are they pretending to be? They're not. They're just being them.
mm.
But I am not. I'm not a whimsical person. I think anyone who knows me, they're like, yeah, no, Robbie. That's the last word we did describe Robbie. Um, no, but it's I don't know. I think whenever and the kids, I really like all the kids in the book. And there's a big broad spectrum of them. Like, and they're all sometimes they are victim, sometimes they are not. Sometimes, and so we get this range of experience. And that's why I really appreciate it because it's always the writer brain in me is always like, oh, that's interesting. We have this like a 5-year-old, 4-year-old character, 5-year-old character, a young kid. How do they think? How do they act?
Yeah,
What drives them? That kind of thing. I'm like, well, how do you portray that? It's always interesting to me. Um, and I don't know. I like it when I don't know. I think you really notice it when kids are written poorly.
yeah,
And then when they're not, they just seem like characters. They don't seem like
right.
I don't know. I feel like it is a crutch to a lot of writers just fall back to. If they're a child, they're annoying. And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't I don't want to read anyone who's just annoying. That's of all the things I want a character to be, I don't want them to be boring and I don't want them to be annoying. Everything else is
Right.
great. I'm
Yeah.
I'm fine with like a Patrick Bateman like sociopath because it's at least interesting. It's something. It's not, but I don't want nagging or annoying child. I want candy. No, Tommy
Yeah.
could be annoying, but he's not. He's just like you see him. I also loved candy as a child,
Yeah.
so I'm like I'm with you, Tommy. Man, lollipops are delicious. Candy
Well, yeah.
bars, great.
It's a basic need, right? Like it's not like they have some complex motivation. Like he doesn't. He's just kind of like, I think this tastes good. I don't understand that it's bad for me, right? So again, my world is limited. I don't have this context of understanding, but I know what I want and I know that people are preventing me from having it. So how do I do this? And then, children don't second guess things sometimes. They can be really inquisitive, but like him hearing a voice talking to him makes sense because a voice is supposed to pop out of the lollipop, right? But he doesn't understand the context of it's something that he's not supposed to be hearing, you
Right.
know? So yeah, you just kind of have to work with like a limited framework. And I think people who write kids specifically as annoying probably don't enjoy children themselves. And listen, I'm not the biggest fan of kids either. Like I'm child free by choice. It's not always my jam, but I do admire children because they are little people, and I feel like kids don't have as much safety and rights as they should. I mean, just look at the
No.
news. People are exploiting children all the time.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I'm against that, because too was an exploited kid. So I'm like, you know what? I got you. Um, but yeah, you can definitely tell if somebody thinks critically about children or not
I
by how they're
love
portrayed.
visiting children.
Yeah.
Or nice, at least nice kids. Like my nieces, I love them. I visit them.
Hmm.
And then I give them back. That's the best.
Yeah.
I don't have to keep taking care of them forever. This is not on my official list of questions I wrote, but it is a thing I noticed a lot. And I'm just going to ask like, there's a lot of liquid on people's faces in this.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
A lot. Like, obviously some of it's like, oh well, there's an episode where we do one of yours is double. There's a double dare show story,
Yeah.
which I
Hmm.
get. Yeah, yes, I fully expect that. But then it seems like there's a lot of times you're really focusing on like this person's face is covered in liquid, in goop, in snot, in spit, in tears. Um, what's going on? What do we is that I don't I could ask like I could frame it like a really smart way, but like do you just are we just trying to gross me out? Is that the goal? Because I find it upsetting. I don't like it very much.
Well, yes.
Okay,
This.
good. That's all I want. That's yeah. You're good.
Okay, yeah. I mean, this collection has more body horror than I think I've written before. So this was me experimenting with it. And if
Okay.
it's repetitive, I apologize. Like this
No,
is
it's not.
again.
It's not that it's repetitive. I mean, it's. I don't mean.
Okay.
It's not. This is not me being pejorative. It is
Okay.
me just noticing that there's a lots of. I don't know. Like I like that. I mean, I. It's
Okay.
not. I don't think it's good or bad. It is. It's just a thing
Hmm.
where there's lots of, and then like I don't know. It felt like a. I was curious, like if it was like this intentional theme, because there's a lot of things that are echoing around throughout the book, and it seems like constantly we're getting characters who are getting like very wet and very goopy. And if you like easy, you were like, oh well, yeah, there's a lot of body horror in this. Which
Uh-huh.
again, I do. I love me, my body. I love my body horror. Um, but it's like but it's also like this, especially in a lot of it's like, well, it's this almost like couched in, especially when people are breaking down and sobbing and tears, like a lot of it's like it's not necessarily like alien liquid or blood, even it's a lot of it's
Yeah.
tears and snot, and it's like couched in this very much like the shame of feeling emotion, especially as a child. Like you're I remember it
Yeah.
as a kid when I would like, you're a kid, you can't really control your emotions very well. And I would
Yeah.
cry about something, but I'm in public and I would have both the sadness and the upset feelings of crying, but also the shame of
Yeah.
having my emotions out in public. I don't know. It's a thing I noticed. And I don't
Yeah.
like I don't know if like clearly per story that's there, but it's like, was that
Yes.
like connective tissue between stories at all?
Well, for one, it was purposeful. You brought up Double Dare, and I wanted Nickelodeon specific stories for this. And um, I'm just gonna get real transparent here. So I think when people think about Nickelodeon in the 90s, they think of like Dan Schneider, right? Or back then, and a lot has come out regarding that. And I wanted to write about that in a way that felt safe for me, because unfortunately, I've had a similar experience in my childhood where there's sexual exploitation and I have a hard time with media like that even to this day. So I wanted to convey that in a more supernatural way. That's like not in the face. So maybe the liquid in that could have been some stuff
Right.
coming up
Right.
regarding. I try
Right.
to be a little bit more delicate about that because I know there's people like me out there. In terms of repressing emotions, that totally makes sense. If you read my other stories, I've been told that I lean kind of sad or I lean kind of
Well, yeah, it's
ah,
there. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's there.
I like sad. That's my
Okay.
I want heavy. I want that. That's what I'm like. That's why I'm reading this.
Yeah.
I'm not reading like I don't know. People, it feels like there's a schism in horror readers, especially like now, right now, like people because like it's like this horror's big, it's blowing up, and we're
Hmm.
and it's getting new readers, people who haven't read, or at least people who are readers who have maybe haven't read horror before, and they're coming in because, which is good. Don't get me wrong, that's great, but they are coming in with lots of different expectations, and some people want fun. They want like a fun, campy slasher, and
Yeah.
then but I'm like, nothing wrong with that, and that's a good. I love that. I like that kind of as a palate cleanser, but largely I
Hmm.
want heavy. I want something that's gonna hurt me. I don't want
Yeah, same.
I want you to stab me, please. Like I want to be the victim of this. I want you to hurt me emotionally. So I don't. I love sad. Yeah,
Okay.
hey, people out there who want to prove this. If you were like me, you'll like this. It has sad in it, but that's kind of like that's the appeal to me. Like there's a lot of moments in this where there's like I don't know. It feels because we're what if like again you're capturing these elements of like watching a videotape and seeing kind of an empty set. It feels like a lot of there's
Yeah.
moments where we're watching empty sets, where we're just watching kind of we slow down for a second and there's just nothing, like we're watching, like it felt like WandaVision before it got bad. Like
Yes.
the first few episodes of the show
Yeah.
when I was really interested in it before it became not as good. But that, and it's not the only thing. That's just the thing that sprung to the top of mind.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not being mean about your book. I liked it a lot.
no, I appreciate it. And yeah, I think again, I think so much of my stuff's personal, even if I don't intend it to be or not, even if I try to distance myself from my work. I'm sure you feel the same way. But stuff leaks out, right? And the shame about feeling, I'm an incredibly emotional person. I still cry at inappropriate times. That's just who I am. I'm a little mentally ill. You know,
I mean,
it's
that's yes, that's it. Yes, we all. I mean, not. I don't. I'm not going to say all of us are, but there's
yeah.
a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think horror helps. Like you said, I'm like you where a slasher's fun, if I'm in the mood for that. But for the most part, I think horror needs to say something, even if it's not completely obvious what a message is. Like I don't really believe that all media should have a message or something to teach you about morality. No, but it should evoke another mood besides just ooh spooky. And I tend to lead sad. Yeah, I tend to lead sad. That's who I am. But you could do horror and rage. I think that's really popular too, especially with like female writers or female horror readers. They like the sort of feminine rage horror right now.
Yep.
And I wish I could do that. Even when I try, I think mine's just depressing.
You can't escape you. That's the like, and
Yeah,
maybe eventually you'll get to a place where you can do that, but it won't happen. You can't create it artificially. It's a thing that
right.
it will happen or it won't, and that's okay either
Hmm.
way. Um, we're done with the first segment, but people should go pre-order Cursed Images channel surfing right now. I'll have a link in the show notes to do so. You should do that. That's me, Robbie, your friend, telling you to go do a thing. You should go do it. We'll move on to the second segment, which is the second act, which is broader bookish questions. And we're going to
Hmm.
start with a question from my last guest. I already mentioned V.S. Lawrence. And her question for you, and I'm going to ask you for a question for the
Okay.
next guest at the end of this. And her question for you is there anything, and we've already kind of touched on this, but you can formally answer. Is there anything you've written about that you didn't realize was a major theme in your work until it was pointed out later?
Oh yeah, loneliness. um, again, like I don't. I'm actually a very bubbly person. Like I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. Um, but I keep seeing this theme of loneliness, social isolation, shame for identity, shame for oneself, um, people pleasing behaviors to try to convince somebody to care about you. Again, this is all rooted in my own personal problems, so I apologize to anybody else who's not like this, who's like, ew, what the heck's going on?
There's probably more people nodding along than people going ew.
Okay.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
that tends to be the thing. You're like, yep. I have. Well, I like. Oh, not all that stuff, but some of it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, certain of emotions and experiences are universal. To quote Kamala Harris, nobody falls out of a coconut tree. We have all, we've all experienced this, and we are all interconnected as human beings. Like, nobody has a unique experience, and we all influence each other in some sort of way. So, again, if you can find something in this collection for you, great. We are connected. We are one and the same friend. But
Who pointed this stuff out to you? Was it a reader, reviewer, beta readers?
I was on a podcast, a previous one, like a year ago, and they're actually people who want to write too, and we knew each other from high school, so um, we were just talking in general, and Taylor pointed it out on the podcast, I believe, about this theme of loneliness. She writes, I think she's more interested in romance, so she's not a big horror reader, but she did point that out, and I felt like I got clocked a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's true. And so now everything I look through, like get it out because you shouldn't edit yourself while you're working, right? But once
No.
it's done, I'm like, oh, yep, it's there again. Whoops.
I mean, I feel like loneliness is also another universal. Everyone
Yeah,
feels lonely once in a while.
yeah,
You know, it's the nature of life, nature of existence. That's why I think partially why social media is such a problem because people chase after it so they don't feel lonely. but ultimately it doesn't necessarily solve that problem. It creates new
No.
problems on top of it.
Yeah.
Um, I will ask you for a question for our next guest at the end of the segment.
Okay.
The question I ask everybody: who is the writer more people should be reading? And you
Ooh.
can give me more than one name if you'd like.
Okay. So, I just kind of have things pop in my head, or just people that I enjoy. I really enjoyed Mona Awad's work. I think she's pretty popular on Instagram again with like emerging female horror writers. But again, if you want surrealism, I would look towards her work. Unreliable narrators. If you want to learn how to do that, I think she does that excellent, like in a great way. I just finished Butter because I'm getting into translation fiction. I actually have like all my books ahead of me. So, um, by Asako Yuzuki, and it's a I just love her work. I like her voice a lot. And she does so much societal commentary through the lens of like a thriller that I haven't really expected a lot in a lot of commercial fiction, at least here in the US. So I think if you're also craving that, looking towards like translated fiction really, really helps. And then I always want to recommend, again, right in front of me, Augustina Bastorica. I might be mispronouncing that, but
Yes.
she wrote, yes, I probably am. But Tender as the
No,
Flesh,
yes,
I'm
that's her
reading.
name. I don't know if you I
Oh,
there's yeah, don't ask me if the right way to say it. You're good enough. Like that. I know you're talking about.
okay. Yeah, but I mean, Tender as the Flesh is amazing. For
Yes.
me, I when I read it, I was like, oh, so this is going to be somebody else's Animal Farm, right? Like I'm like, oh, this could be. I mean, I don't know if they really teach horror in school, but I could see that because it's again a critique of consumerism, capitalism, dehumanization of folks based on socioeconomics, and just again extreme exaggerated versions of problems that are happening today. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm like a third of the way through The Unworthy right now, so I can't really talk about that. But
I
um,
haven't read The Unworthy yet. It's on my
okay,
very, very long list. Someone once compared the ending of one of my books to Tender as the Flesh, and I don't think I've ever
okay.
received a higher compliment in my
Oh
entire
yeah,
life. I held
yeah.
down to that. I'm still holding on to that. It's like years after the fact. I'm like, someone said that. Okay, I did something right. Those are good names. I'll have links for all that in the show notes. People can also buy those books. Um, Another question I always ask: what's the best piece of advice you followed?
In life or in writing
I mean,
or both?
probably writing, but
Okay.
if you have something really good for life, that's also fine.
No, I mean for writing, I always tell people that they need to read. You'd be surprised how many people don't, or at least that I've heard about. And again, quoting Kamala Harris, uh, I the critique I've heard from people, and I've heard this from mostly young people, but I've heard this in general as well, is that they feel like they don't want their own voice to be tainted by somebody's outside influence. But we are cannot like we are influenced by everything, right? You see an
Y-
advertisement
I
at the coffee shop and you're influenced, right? Like, so that doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't think those people are listening, but if they are, you're don't do that. You have to read. Read
Yeah.
the more I've read, the better of writer I have been. The
Oh
more
yeah.
you and if you want to get published, you want an agent, you want all that stuff, you also need to read books because you need to know the marketplace, which may not seem fair. Hell, if you're going to be self-publishing, you need to know the marketplace. You need to
Hmm.
if you wanted this, you want this to be like a job or career or whatever. That's part of the job is reading new stuff, and it happens also to be very pleasurable because theoretically you're going to find stuff you love, and
Hmm.
then you can make friends with those people. That's I mean, it's like
Yeah.
this is a big broad view of why you should be reading, but it also just will generally improve you as a person. But
Yeah.
yes, I know you're not the first person to bring that up. It's crazy
Okay.
to me that those people exist. I don't think I'm following them on social media. I don't see them,
Yeah.
but I know they exist. I
Yeah.
I tend to unfollow people who are like, "Oh, I don't read or I read this book and or they're like, I don't finish anything. I hate everything's terrible." I'm like, "You maybe you should go to therapy. That might be the problem." Like if everything, not just like, oh, 1 out of 5 books you don't finish, that's fine.
Hmm.
But it's like if you're reading every book you're reading, you're like, this is bad, you might want to like look at yourself a little bit, interrogate. Are you
Yeah.
okay? You might not be in a good place. Like that will affect how you consume things, you know? But
Yeah, I also just think it's like pseudo intellectualism, right? Like people want to feel like they have the only unique story to tell in the entire world, and like every other writer that's come before them is beneath them. It, it's just people want to feel special,
you're
and
gonna
I hate to break it to you,
you
but
need to it's that is how you develop a voice, is by consuming more, not
exactly,
less. You're not going to
exactly.
have a voice unless you read more. You need to read everything and let it sink its teeth into you and let your voice come
Mm,
out of it. Let it.
mm.
It's like a speaking here. Virtuosity. I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Virtuosity. Have you seen the movie
No,
Virtuosity,
I have
Cassidy?
not. No.
It's a '90s action movie with Denzel
Okay.
Washington and Russell Crowe, where Russell Crowe plays a virtual serial killer that comes to life. So I feel like it's up your alley. But
Yeah.
they create his psychological profile by having personalities of like 600 famous serial killers and murderers and despots do battle inside like a psychological profile, and
Nice.
he's what comes out. Sid
Nice.
6.7. Russell Crowe playing Sid 6.7. Uh, it's not a great movie, but it's a lot. It's like a very much a fun movie, I would say.
Mm,
But you got to let all that stuff do battle inside your head, and then
mm.
what comes out, that's the winner. That's you, effectively. That's how you make you. Um, it's a good question. When do you know a project is done?
Ah. Um.
That's I love that
When I
answer.
yeah, sorry. Uh, I feel like there's this tendency for a lot of folks to over edit and to tweak because they have this idea of perfection and they're like, oh, it'll be done when I hit this. Most of the time, if I feel satisfied, then it's done. And I know like every book's gonna have its flaw. There's gonna be stuff I miss, or there's gonna be like my own little quirks. But if I ultimately feel like I'm full, then I'm done. It's like eating, I guess. Because you can overeat naturally because you like uh I know because I know people with this behavior. They have a scarcity mindset, so they're like, I'm never gonna eat this again, so I have to enjoy as much as I can. Yeah, exactly. But once you feel full, that's when you should be done, essentially.
You're
It it's vague.
you are correct that you should
Okay.
stop when you're full.
Yeah.
I'm like my dog. My dog, if you just keep
Yeah.
giving her food, she'll eat until she's sick. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I've had this again, you have the thing, go to therapy is the answer. Is like, hey, stop eating. Are you full? Know what full feels like. It's not full
Yeah.
is not pain, which is
Yeah.
a problem in both my eating and my writing. Full is not pain, Robbie. Um, where do you write and why do you write there?
I write right here.
Okay.
Um, this is my sunroom in my condo apartment, and I write here because it's got like wraparound windows, so there's a lot of light, and I am just a complicated plant, and I like sun, so that helps. Plus, I can people watch whenever I need to. Um, I used to write in the office space that I share with my husband, but I found that to be very difficult because he's very loud and he is in meetings and he's not always in a great mood when he's in those meetings, so
Oh,
it's just not
yeah.
conducive to creativity. So I've kind of transitioned to the other side of the house, but I like this space. There's like a lot of nature to look at, there's a lot of light, and this chair is comfortable, so I'm happy.
Okay. That's like I think that's the healthiest answer I've gotten out of anybody for that question.
Really?
Where you're just like, "Oh, it's nice in here." I go, "Good." That's good. That is good. That is
Yeah.
great. No complaint. Yeah. Um, what's the most disturbing book you've read in the past year?
Oh gosh. Well, I am not a huge fan of body horror. I'm trying to get there. There's some books like Manhunt, which is very graphic, that I actually really enjoy. Right now I'm reading Cuckoo by the same author, and I had to put it down. I'm
Really?
stubborn at yeah, well, the first opening part I did not
I
enjoy.
haven't read Cocoon. I've only seen the movie.
Oh, is there a
Gretchen,
movie?
I
Yeah,
want to
I
say
didn't realize
I think it's the same movie. It's like let me
it's
make
conversion
sure.
camps.
I don't. Maybe it's a different movie. I've seen a
Okay.
Cuckoo movie.
Is it about like conversion camps, like gay
I don't think
conversion
so.
camps?
No, that must be
Okay, well,
different.
no, this is different.
Okay, it's
Um,
different. I'm mistaken.
no, you're fine, but
Retraction. I haven't read the
but
book.
it's intense. The I won't spoil, but the opening
Too
scene,
much.
or well, it's quite a bit. So I've read past that point, and I've read the next couple of chapters, but I've had to take a break. Just for the graphic material. I think I what I love about this author is that the graphicness has a point to it. Because again, it's an extrapolation of the queer experience, right? Particularly for trans folks. And so it is brutal and nasty because again, that's the lived
It's a brutal
experience
and
for a lot
nasty.
of
It's a
folks.
brutal and nasty thing.
Yeah,
Being
yeah,
conversion
exactly.
camps. Conversion camps are a brutal and
Yeah,
nasty thing.
yeah,
You can't
exactly.
if you
So
wanted to be truthful, it has to be that.
yeah,
Um no, the
I
movie I saw was very different and I didn't
okay,
really like it that much. So
okay,
that's fine. I still I've got a arc from Stoker for her next book.
okay,
So I need to read.
okay,
That's also my Black Flame. It's coming out, I think,
okay,
this end of this year. Uh, I don't I have too many books to read. Is the real answer to that question. So what is the most disturbing book you've read or finished? Then,
oh, okay,
if you
sorry.
haven't finished that one,
Yeah, that's I kind of cheated there, didn't I? Um, Again,
eh,
in terms of graphicness, Manhunt, in terms
whatever
of stuff,
whatever you want to describe it. Disturbing can mean different things to different people.
I mean, the ending of Tender is the Flesh really got to me.
I mean, that's
I haven't
also
felt like,
disturbing. It's a very disturbing book.
yeah, it is very disturbing, and again, the with the I don't want to give spoilers, but like the main character, you think he's the exception to the rule, right, for the entire time, and then when you find out what happens at the end, and he is just as guilty of perpetuating this system as anybody else, that was kind of gut wrenching to me. I'm not gonna lie, because I mean that's the point, and
Right.
for me, I don't
No one is immune from propaganda.
yeah, literally. So in terms of like emotional endings that stuck with me, it's probably Tender as the Flesh, and I always recommend that book to people, even just casual friends. They should read that. So
You tell casual friends to read Tender is the
yes,
I would I mean
they
it's
know what they're
I
getting into.
okay. All right. As long as you like I don't know. That feels like I have lots of friends like they would never read that book.
Well,
They
they
would never
yeah,
finish it.
they don't have to listen to me, but I mean they know I write horror, and so if they want a horror
I
recommendation,
should
like
I should take that mindset. You don't have to listen to me.
yeah, you don't have to listen to me. I mean, I do give other like cozier recs, but like if someone said, "Oh, I saw this online, I was thinking about it," I say, "Yes, you should do it."
Oh yeah,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and not like I'm not shoving anything down anyone's throat, but I'm like, okay, well, if you want my opinion, this is what I would recommend.
I mean, I
So
do I'm all
yeah,
everyone's like, "I'm reading Dungeon Crawler Carl." And I'm like, "How about you want to read some Cormac McCarthy with me? You want to
yeah,
read like I'm always like, "Hey, this is dark, heavy, awful thing. Let's read that." And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Okay."
yeah,
Or I go to a book club and they read like a nice book, or a more friendly book and I'm like, it's not me. I don't want friendly."
yeah,
What's your
yeah.
question for the next guest?
Okay. I guess maybe writing rituals, anything that people could find helpful if they're just starting out. I mean, everyone gives the example of like, oh, just sit down and write. But, sometimes you need your own little quirk. So maybe if they have any like quirky things that helps with their writing rituals.
Okay.
Um,
We'll do that.
yeah. Okay.
That's a good question. It's fun.
Yeah.
This is the lightest of all the segments. The first segment is
Oh,
inevitably about some horrible book that someone just wrote that's I loved, but probably full of heavy stuff. And the third segment we're about to get
mm,
to is a little heavier too. So we're nice in the middle. It's a
okay.
nice question about
Okay.
writing rituals. That's beautiful.
Okay.
Speaking of the third segment, it's time for it. It's time for blood. It's time for trouble. It's time for struggle. It's time for hardship.
Mm,
This could be anything related to writing in general. Like it could be burnout. It could be nuts and bolts trying to get an ending written. It could be business problems. It could be social media. Could be any of those things and stuff I haven't said. Hopefully, to help people out there listening who have dealt with the same thing or are dealing with the same thing. Is there anything on top of mind that you've dealt with either recently or in the near past?
Um, yes. So I
Okay,
hope this is a safe space for me to vent. Like,
sure.
okay,
If
so
if if I
I
if I'm editing this and in future Robbie is listening to this and goes, "Oh no, we're gonna have enemies after this," and there's a big blank spot after this, then you know what happened. And Cassie went
okay,
rogue, but you're probably fine.
okay. No,
Don't
I
name
mean,
names. I
I
think
know,
that's
no,
actually
nothing like that.
okay.
No, it's more self-inflicted things.
Okay.
So I'm currently working on a new manuscript. It's been forever since I've written a novel, and it's already intimidating to me in general. Um, but I'm at this point where I'm really frustrated with myself, and the mean things are starting to enter my brain because every now and then I get really hard on myself. Um, and one of the worries that I have, and I guess new authors might not relate to this, but maybe people who have written a couple of things have. There's one book of mine that's popular, more popular than others, and although I like really appreciate it, I wrote that book like pre-medicated me. And
Yeah.
okay, yeah, great. And I think that's where so much rawness comes from and a lot of people enjoy. But now my brain just does not function the same way it did back then, which is a good thing. It shouldn't be functioning that way.
Right.
Because I'm bipolar. So that in itself, I'm healthier now. It's great. But I find myself struggling even with channel surfing. I had self-doubt about whether or not this is going to be as good as what I've done in the past, and I'm insecure about it. And for some reason, my brain blames the medication, and it's gotten to the point where it's like, should I just be off my meds for a sec and get all this crap
No,
out? And
don't do that. No, no,
I'm
no.
like,
That's
exactly,
no,
that's not
no,
a good idea.
that's not the right
Like,
answer.
no, I know it's not. And the irony is like I've heard from other bipolar creatives is that they tend to do that. That's not a healthy behavior. I really discourage it if you're like me. Like, don't do it. But I'm not gonna lie, the temptations there is literally just coming from a place of insecurity and frustration. Again, this is a first draft. I'm only like 4 chapters in, so I should not be as defeatist as I am right now, but I
I was
am.
gonna say you
Like,
haven't even.
yeah,
You're just dipping your toe in at this point. 4 chapters.
yeah, yeah, I know, but it's again just like intimidating, and
When's the
I
last
guess I
time you
just
wrote a
want.
novel?
Oh God, probably back in like 2020
Okay,
or
that is a long
or
time.
well, but yeah, I was gonna say though it came out in 2023. I think I finished it maybe in 2021. Um, but yeah, it's been a hot minute because I've been doing short story collections since then, and I have so much fun doing them. I think it's an underappreciated medium for sure, but I do want to query one day and like take the load off my back and have a team behind me. And if you want to query, from what I understand, short stories are a little bit more difficult to do than a novel, and I have a good
You won't.
novel idea.
Okay,
So, huh?
I was
Oh,
gonna say
what were
that
you gonna say?
they're not gonna. I'm not gonna say that no agent will sign a debut.
Yeah,
Effectively, with traditionally published debut would be um, for a short story collection. I'm not saying it's impossible,
right.
but it is very, very difficult to do unless they already have read your stuff.
Hmm.
If you or like you are, you could theoretically, if you write short stories and you've got nominated for awards,
Right.
and then they'd be like, oh well, they got nominated for Stoker, they got nominated, like or any of the big
Yeah.
genre awards. They might go, oh okay, they pay attention, or
Right.
they've read your stuff,
Right.
but they mostly just want a novel. I tell people
Right.
that like the market wants. I mean, I did a speaking of seminars, I did a publishing seminar, and it's like
Hmm.
the market wants certain shapes,
Yeah.
which is not fair necessarily because yes, short stories there's nothing wrong with a short story or a short
Yeah.
story collection, but they are a business first, and they know
Okay.
how to sell. They know how to sell collections from already established authors, like people who
Right.
are bigger names, not people who are just unless you're like Kelly Link, like you're like
Yeah.
so good at like you're like you write masterpieces you write 12 masterpieces in a collection, then they'd be like, okay, who cares, you qualify, we'll let you do it. But everyone else, they're like, nah, right,
Yeah.
give me
Which,
a novel.
yeah,
What
which
can
I
you tell
fully
me, can you
understand.
tell us the idea?
Sure. So this
No
I
one, no
actually
one
was taking.
steal it.
Yeah, don't. I'll fight you. Um, but I was taking a writing class and this idea came up in workshop. But basically, I told you I'm child free by choice, but for a long time I was kind of struggling with the indecision of motherhood. I'm 31, and so people are pestering me. They've been pestering me for years. Um, it, and there's so much horror books about motherhood in general, and body horror around pregnancy and things like that. But I didn't see much for people who are indecisive like me. And I wanted to write something about what would physically manifest from indecision. So I'm a kind of my main character. She's great. She's a kindergarten teacher. She's a hot mess, and
That's lovely.
she
I'm already like, oh, kindergarten teacher, perfect. That's the perfect job for that.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Because again, it's the idea of somebody who should be nurturing, somebody who would be perfect for this. But they might not want it. And like also, she like crochets. She's kind of got like just everything going on. Like, have you seen Gravity Falls, like the cartoon?
I've watched the first season, I think. Yeah. I
Okay,
haven't watched
I
anything
basically
past that.
she's basically grown up Mabel. Like,
Okay. All right.
she, she's one of my favorite characters. I love Mabel, but yeah, basically adult Mabel. Um, and so basically I'm trying to do like almost like a phantom pregnancy with them and have like this um not only is she scared to have a child, but this child itself is also scared to come out. So like what happens when you're in this like limbo state? Part of it's inspired by my own life. Like I was a month late coming out of my mother, and she used to joke that I was too scared of the world to come out. And so some of that's coming from personal experience too. So yeah, I'm working with a little bit of body horror. I'm basically just kind of setting up my character in her world, and she's just now getting onslaught, like starting to get her morning sickness pregnancy symptoms. But again, is she really pregnant? What's going on? Is this like a mental thing? Because again, pre-medicated me, had a lot of mental illness surrounding. I always thought I was pregnant. I thought I was just going to get pregnant. It's a paranoia I think a lot of women have in general. That like even if you're not having sex, you're going to be the next Virgin Mary, and God's just going to choose you, and you're going to be pregnant. So I'm taking all those anxieties and basically putting it in a kindergarten teacher and having her
Okay.
body
That
change
sounds
things.
great.
Yeah.
That sounds like
Thank
you're getting
you.
an agent. It sounds like you're going to get an agent with that book.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
I mean, it's a difficult thing to do. Um,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean you don't try, And also,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, novel is. I think writing a novel is a product of like a muscle, and if you let
Yes.
it, if you don't use that muscle for a while, it takes a little bit of warming up to get it going again, and
Hmm.
like for like a 5 year gap, it will take a little bit
Yeah.
of warming up to get it going again. But definitely, yeah, definitely don't. Medicine is good. Like it's good to
Yeah.
have
No,
stable mental
100%.
health. Yeah.
Oh no, 100%. I want you to know I'm a very disciplined person. That would never happen.
Okay.
I'm just trying to be vulnerable. This is me being
I
vulnerable and saying
appreciate
like,
that.
look,
A lot of
like
people, some people, I can tell. Not to cash it on anybody, but it feels like some people are like,
yeah,
I don't want to be too real with Robbie. We're just going to talk about something. A problem, but not the problem.
yeah,
And I think there are certainly other people who are. I feel like there is this connection, which again is wrong-headed about
yeah,
like a suffering artist. Like artists have to be,
yeah,
you have to you have to have some sort of, you have to have addiction issues. You have to be
yeah,
unhappy with your life. You have to be poor. You have
hmm,
to have mental health problems,
yeah,
serious mental health problems that are detrimental to everything else in your life. And that makes good art. I'm like, no, you
yeah,
make good art by being stable, by having a stable life and be able to have a creative routine and be able to
oh yeah,
practice your creative, whatever your art is. And I think laymen out there broadly are like, oh, you're going to be a suffering artist and you're going to make the best art possible because you're going through
yeah,
something. I'm like, no, actually, when I'm the most unhappy, I don't make anything. I
literally, yeah,
suffer is all I do. I suffer and I can't write because I'm too anxious about something horrible happening in my life. I'm not writing a novel. I write novels when I'm really happy and stable.
yeah,
And I will, even if it's about a really unhappy thing. I
yeah,
I think most people listening understand that, but I feel like I it's a But I haven't experienced this directly, but I imagine that yes, you're going to have to navigate a different creative process with a novel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to trick myself into thinking of each chapter as a short story. So let's see how that works out. Um, but yeah, so I've had such a healthy stride up until this point, and I'm just hitting a brick wall and being a little like dramatic about it.
Do
That's essentially
you
what's
do you
happening.
outline it all? Do you plot?
Loosely. So I
Okay.
for this book because it's around a pregnancy, I do have a specific timeline.
Okay.
And I'm actually I don't know if I'm going to keep this in or what, but I also thought to be the most realistic version of myself and to explain how my brain works and why I'm indecisive, I thought, okay, well, let me write the story as if this person's having cyclical moods like how I used to have to explain whatever logic they might be having. Like, because I had delusions, when I was hypomanic, like I had weird delusions too. And I don't know how to explain that to folks who haven't felt that. So if I'm going to be authentic, I might just kind of include that in. I know people like to do like supernatural versus mental illness, and some people can be very insensitive about it, but at the same time, I just kind of like want to be honest about like my thought process. And if my thought process isn't like everybody else's, you know, what are you gonna do?
Is it going to be explicitly supernatural stuff in it, or is it going to be kind of vague?
Right
Maybe it is,
now,
maybe it isn't.
right now I'm leaning towards vague.
Okay.
Again, I want to still do the David Lynch type shit or,
Right.
the surrealist type things. I think I'm gonna, but again, I'm still experimenting. This is still very early, like
Right.
things, and I had to learn what being a teacher was even like because I've never been a teacher before. So again, this is still very early in adaptation and like how much of real world stressors do I want to plop in there to be like rational about like why someone shouldn't shouldn't have children, and like how depressing do I actually want that to be, because I could give you a list of like 30, 40, 50 reasons about to save the world where I wouldn't want to have a child. But again, that's not always fair because this is supposed to be somebody who's indecisive. Because like, yeah, I think biologically people like myself and others have this like biological impulse to reproduce, but that's just my ovaries trying to like do something very benign,
It's
like,
evolution. Like
yeah,
we need to
exactly.
keep making people. Like you're not responsible for that. We've had like
No.
a million years of evolution that has made our bodies tell us. And
Yes.
then because of that fact, culture has adopted the fact that yes, you have to do it. And you're like, why?
Right.
I,
Right.
I don't really need to. I'm good.
No.
I have a dog. Dog's great.
Right.
Gives me
Right.
everything I need that a child could, and the dog is much more manageable and won't grow up to be a serial killer or
Right,
whatever.
exactly. Whatever.
Uh, yeah, I mean, which is not again not a rational thing to think like, oh, I might have a kid and they'll be a sociopath, but it has happened.
I mean, look around. Somebody has a
Yeah,
mom. Even the worst people have a mom, and it might be their fault. It might not be. You know,
that's the other thing that is not necessarily inspiring when it's like it really doesn't matter how good a parent you are.
no.
The kid might
Yeah.
turn out great without even if you're terrible, and you're like, that's awful. I'm like, I would if I want to be a parent, I'm going to be a good one, and I probably would
Yeah.
be because that's how
Right.
I'm not going to not be. I'm going to try and still be a good person, but it's also like I have children. They're my books.
y-
That's what people ask
Right.
me. They go, I'm like, do you have kids? I'm like, they're on the table. They're
Yeah.
all the books. They're on my books. They're in front of me. Um, thank you for being vulnerable. I appreciate
Thank you.
that. I greatly do. And I think there are people out there who can absolutely commiserate and empathize and probably have dealt with a similar thing.
Yeah.
Um, we're running out of time.
Okay.
We're gonna do the things at the end of the show we do, and I'm gonna remember to do them all. That's the hardest thing. So first thing we're gonna do, and we've been doing this for a little bit now. I want you to speak out into the world something you want for your near to intermediate career in the future. We're going to manifest it. You're going to speak it aloud, and it's going to happen.
Okay. Agent, please
Okay,
contact
there
me.
you
I don't know.
go. I
Yeah.
mean, that's it. It. I don't know. It works. Manifesting things works. Not that
Yeah.
it's not. I don't believe in magic, but I do believe in that. Once you speak things and treat them as real, it drives you harder to go after them. It creates ambition in you.
Oh,
So
definitely.
that's number one, the things we do at the end of the show. Number two, the things we do at the end of the show is you're going to tell people where they should get curse images, channel surfing, where would you like them to go for the book? And then the last thing you're going to do is tell them where to follow you on social media.
Okay, so you can pre-order this book on Amazon if you want. I'm also distributing through Ingram. So if you have another outlet that's connected to Ingram and you don't want to support the Zon, you could do that too. I have a book tour coming up, and some of the bookstores are already kind of like pre-ordering slash stocking books for said events. So if you're going to be in Chicago, you want to come to, I have two different locations I'm going to have book signings at. Their Eventbrite pages are up, so you can also pre-order through that. Again, it's like different for different stores. But if you don't want to support the Zon, you don't want to order online through Ingram, and you want to order through an independent bookstore, you could do that through Goblin Market or Barbers on State. Um, those two I think are for sure up. The other bookstores that like are on my Instagram page, I'm not sure if they all have links for pre-order yet, but those two definitely do.
And where's that? What's that Instagram people can follow you at?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my bad. I am on Instagram at writing with Cass. I have the same user handle for Threads uh if you're in the cesspool of threads like I am. I'm also on Threads, and I have a YouTube channel. You could subscribe to me if you want, called Cutiefly. I talk about nerdy stuff, but I also give writing vlogs, writing advice, and a little bit of gossip here and there about the writing community. Because I'm very nosy. I like to be in other people's business.
I would. I can't throw stones. I can't. Everybody likes some tea. Everyone
Yeah,
likes to hear, "Oh, what's the secret? What's happening?
yeah.
What's going on?" It's fun. Nothing, as long as you're not causing harm, it's
Oh,
okay.
never.
It's
No, no,
fine.
no, no, no.
No,
And
exactly.
I like to say that I pick out things that could be a lesson learned for other people. So there is something constructive that comes out of said gossip. So
Said gossip.
said gossip.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really just talking about it's also just talking about industry that you're in.
Yeah.
That's not gossip. That's just like talking about news. We all do
Mm.
that too. Um, Thank you for being on the show, Cassidy. It was lovely.
Thank you for having me.